Oh, it's just like the 60s, only even more annoying. Today, House Democrats staged a sit-in in Congress protesting lack of gun control measures. The same week, Representative Thomas Massie introduced legislation attempting to remove funding for gun-free zones in the District of Columbia, also known as Washington, D.C. That very congressman joins me now, Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky. How are you?
I'm doing great, Kennedy. You know what I noticed? Since I've been in Congress, every mass shooting has happened in a gun-free zone.
That's right.
Whether it's a movie theater, a church, a school, recruiting center, or in this case, a nightclub. So what I decided to do this year on the appropriations bill that funds Washington, D.C. is to defund their gun-free zones. But unfortunately, Speaker Ryan doesn't want to let me have a vote on that, so you know, maybe I'll go sit in on the floor of the House as well.
Yeah, well, what has happened to your colleagues? They look like a bunch of mental patients, and then Bill Clinton tweets out, this is leadership. That's not leadership. It's annoying. It's distracting from the issue at hand, and frankly, most of those measures will do absolutely nothing except for put innocent Americans at greater risk.
Yeah, exactly. What they want is unconstitutional, and it's not going to solve anything either. You know, what's interesting, Kennedy, is that 2 years ago under Boehner, I was able to get an amendment to the floor of the House because he allowed us to offer amendments on these appropriations bills, but Paul Ryan's not allowing us. And 2 years ago, I offered a bill that defunded all of Washington, D.C.'s gun control laws.
Yeah.
Guess what? 20 Democrats voted for it. And some of those Democrats are sitting on the floor today demanding more gun control. So they need to figure out which side of this they're on.
They absolutely do. They also have to figure out what side they're on when you talk about lone wolves in this country and figuring out in a safe and responsible manner that does not compromise Americans' civil liberties how to address some of these issues. Making guns illegal doesn't address any of the issues that were brought up by the Orlando shooting. I mean, these are empty gestures that, frankly, once again, make our country less safe.
I want to have the debate. Look, this is the best example of where background checks can't stop everything, because here's a guy who passed hours and hours of training to get a Class G license in Florida. He had to get annually recertified. He had a psychiatric background check done on him, and he carried a gun as a condition of work. And how are you going to keep somebody like that from getting a gun with another background check? It's not going to work.
Well, and also, when do you deem someone a terrorist? That's what I want to know, because people like Nancy Pelosi and Elizabeth Warren and Hillary Clinton run around saying, you know, we got to keep guns out of the hands of terrorists. Well, obviously. But why didn't the FBI deem him a terrorist and go to his employer, where he was employed as a private security guard, a company that has a lot of federal contracts and secures a lot of government buildings in this country? Why didn't the FBI go to them and say, we think this guy is a terrorist? That might have kept him from getting some of the guns in the first place. But also, we're not talking about motivation. We're not talking about private solutions to an ongoing terror crisis. We're not talking about any of that, because you got a bunch of people who want to sit around and braid their armpit hair and sing Kumbaya, and a giant distraction, your colleagues in Congress.
Well, whether it's a policeman or whether it's a private citizen, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And that's why I've got my amendment here, trying to get a vote on it, because, you know, gun-free zones just, all they do is disarm the law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
And anybody else can carry a gun there if there's not adequate protection.
Of course, and they're a magnet for people who want as much carnage as possible. They're a magnet for terrorists and murderers, and it's an abomination. And I have to tell you something about Speaker Ryan. He's obviously running for president in 4 years, so his entire existence is a distraction. And shame on him for not giving your legislation the time and place and discussion that it deserves. Thank you, Congressman Massie.
Thank you, Kennedy.
I believe in you. Thank you very much.